This is the tutorial for Chapter 30 in your Beginning AutoCAD workbook. Okay, so in Lesson 30, we're going to learn how to use 6 of the Express tools, import a PDF file into AutoCAD and have usable geometry in it, import a PDF file with a font type called SHX, compare the differences between 2 versions of any drawing, and see how to store your designs in the cloud for other users to view. Okay, so we're quickly going to look at our Express tools. So you have to go to the new tab called Express Tools, and you probably haven't used many of these yet. We're going to take a look at this section, the tab that says Text. First one we want to look at is Arc Aligned. So if I have an arc drawn, I can make text follow that arc. So I'm going to go Arc Aligned and select my arc. That's one thing to remember, you have to have your arc selected. I'm just going to do Arc Test, and we're going to say OK just to show you what this does. So I had it set up from the last time I used it to change the color to green and to put the text under the arc. I can do the same thing, and I can go back and change it. Instead of selecting the arc, I'd select my text, and here I'm going to put it above, and I'm going to turn it to a different color, and I'm going to change the text height. And okay. Oh, I had it set up for backwards on there. But anyway, that's Text Arc Aligned and how you can change it. Next one, Modify Text. You have a bunch of different options in here. You can change the justification. You can make it fit into a selected area. This is for text you've already made. Rotate, change case. So instead of retyping a bunch of stuff, you could make it all uppercase or change it from uppercase to upper lower. The one that we're going to look at is Explode. You can use Explode later on doing 3D work, and I'll show you why. So Explode, I'm going to select my text and hit Enter. So what that does is it breaks your text up into individual polylines, and if we were working in 3D, we could then extrude those and make them into 3D objects. Okay, so that's the one under Modify Text that you probably use at some point. Okay, the other things in here for Express tools in Lesson 30, we have Convert to MText. So that takes a bunch of individual single line text. Select it, and it'll change it into multi-line text so that you have your editor. I'm going to undo that. And the next one, Auto Number. So again, select your objects, existing text, and sort selected objects by order. We're just going to leave that alone. Starting number and increment. So we're going to start at 1 and we're going to go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. And we don't want to put a prefix or a suffix on anything. So that's how you can create quickly a numbered list. Okay, the next one that we have, text enclosed in an object. So that'll take existing text and put it into a circle or a rectangle or a slot. So it wants you to select your text, say what distance offset you want from the rectangle or slot. Circle, slot, or rectangle. I'm going to type S for slot. And enter. Okay, the next one that it gets us to look at is break line. So to have a break line, we have to first have a couple of objects that we want to attach the break line to. Break line, where we want it to start, where we want it to end, and where we want the break to be. And then Lesson 30, they also mention command aliases. So things like L for line, C for circle. If you wanted to change that for some reason, you could do that in here. We're not going to do that, but you could. All right, so that takes care of our Express tools. The next one that they talk about in lesson 30 is create a group. So you have to go back to your home tab for that. And over here, there's a panel for groups. So what groups does is it takes a bunch of objects and sticks them together. So I'm going to hit group, and then it says, do you want to name it? So I'm going to type N for name. I'm going to say group 1. Select your objects. So I'm going to take these individual objects and enter. So now if I click any one of those, they're all grouped together. And same thing, you can ungroup. And you can add other components to the groups up there as well. All right, so that brings us up to import a PDF file into AutoCAD. Okay, so let's say I have a PDF file that I want to bring into my AutoCAD file and be able to work with it. So we're going to go to the Insert tab and PDF Import. There's other things, but we're just going to do PDF. All right, and I'm going to go into my Year 2 CAD. And let's say I wanted to bring in exercise number 1. So then we have some options here. Specify where we want it on screen. If we want to change the scale, do we want vectors, raster, images, all these different options. And do we want PDF layers or object layers, or just put everything on the current layer? We're just going to leave it at PDF layers and say OK. And I'm just going to stick it outside of our border for now. Okay, so it's going to take a second to convert things. So this one, it didn't bring in the drawing in the center of it because it was a picture that was inserted into a PDF file. So it didn't bring that in. Okay, so instead, I'm going to try to bring in one that I know has geometry in the PDF file. And we're going to bring in our spline handout from Year 1. Okay, so that took our PDF file. And brought it into our AutoCAD file so that we can work with it. Okay, for these ones, so our text came in okay in these ones. If for some reason you brought in a file and it had SHX fonts in it, what that's going to do is, instead of these being actual words you can work with, they're just going to be individual little polyline pieces. So to change that, you could go up here, recognize SHX text, and you would have to select any text that was SHX and enter. Now, that one I selected wasn't, so it won't do it, but that's how you could fix that if that happened to you. Okay, the next one we want to look at is called Draw and Compare. So if you had two drawings and you were trying to find out if there were changes made between them, you could use this tool. So go under the Collaborate tab, and you have to have, I'm going to use this 30 Draw and Compare one. So you have to have one drawing open, and then you're going to open another drawing to compare to it. So I want to compare 30 drawing number 2. So here it'll show you your differences. So our original file number 1 was in the green. File number 2 is in the red. So it's showing us the difference. It's overlaying the two drawings together. So you could take a picture of this and send it if you wanted to explain to somebody the differences. Okay, and then just check mark to get out of it. So that one is draw and compare. Okay, and the last thing in lesson number 30 is called shared views. So to work with shared views, so this lets you store your designs in the cloud for other users to view. People you share your design with can view, measure, and comment on your design and share feedback with you. To use the shared views tool, you have to be signed into your Autodesk account and you have to be connected to the internet. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick one here. You go under Collaborate, and for this one we want to do, we can either share a whole drawing, we could share views. Let's share a drawing. We could go share a drawing, share a link to this drawing. So we could do view only or edit and save a copy. So I could copy that link and I could go and email that to someone and they can open it up with the free AutoCAD web viewer would load for them and they could look at it there. Okay, so that's how you can share things under the Collaborate tool. But remember, you have to have an AutoCAD account and you have to be signed in on the internet to use it. Right, so that's the end of all the new things that were in lesson number 30.